Are we ready?
The Talking Leeds podcast with Aaron Marshall and George Brooke.
Hello and welcome to Talking Leeds. The festivities are upon us. George, good evening to the big up, Mr. George Brooke. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, good middle of the night, whatever it is, whatever the time is. Gosh, I don't even know what the hell the time is. How are you doing, Aaron? All right, I suppose, festivities, you call it. What are the festivities? What, I don't know what these are.
It's the run up to Christmas. It's the festivities. It's Mad Friday on Friday. It's Christmas Eve next week. And I get to speak to you about Leeds United for an hour. What more do I want?
I suppose you're right.
What more? For a change?
You could have, yes. I mean, I have no idea what more you'd like after that. I mean, who knows? But what an evening. I'm sorry, you subject yourself to such disappointments. But then again, I suppose you are a Leeds United fan. And Big Mally says, good evening. We haven't seen you for a long period of time, Mally. Where have you been, fella? Merry Leedsmas. And Jimbo, George looks like the 25th of December birthday boy.
Jesus.
No. I wish I was Jesus. Gosh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yes.
Born on the 25th of December and all this and Silent Night and all that and whatnot. Silent Night.
Oh, here we go.
Jesus and Mary and Joseph.
Wow. There you go. The festivities are upon us, and it's the massive week for Leeds United because they play Crystal Palace on Saturday, and we've got Sunderland away, and then we've got Liverpool, and then you've throw Manchester United in there as well to sum up your festive period for Leeds this year round for us. But George, let's just briefly first of all chat about Brentford at the weekend. A 1-1 draw. I know you were a little bit at the weekend. I just wish people could see our WhatsApp chat if you're listening. I will at some point.
Because
I will quote some of the WhatsApp chats.
That was quite tepid, really, on Sunday, I think, from myself, really. I mean, I wasn't too fussed. I was disappointed with the draw, I must admit. And I think if anybody in the comments, what were your thoughts on Sunday? I was disappointed with the point. I think that ultimately I can see the wealth and the goodness in the point, but ultimately you're going away to Brentford. You need to win because they're shite, and we have to win. And at what point, Aaron, do you start to say, actually, a point's not good enough, and we need to go there and get 3? They were there for the taking, lad. They were opening opening whatever, and saying, "Hey, come on in. We'll give you 3 points if you're there if you want it." And they weren't brave enough, and that's the problem with the fucking manager. Is and fine. A draw is fine. A draw is fine, but at what stage do we progress and say, actually, 3 points would have been there to get. 3 points would have been good because.
Right. Okay. Let's debrief this, George, a little bit here. I think it was a hard-earned point at Brentford. Obviously, it's London as well. We don't do London at all. Good evening to Clive. He's here and says Brentford were 4th in the home form and we were 18th in the away form. The draw's not a disaster. And that's exactly the point which I will come up. Brentford have one of the best home forms of the division. Their away form is dreadful, a bit like ours. But ultimately, we haven't won in London. I actually forget. Somebody in the comments will probably let us know when we actually last won in London. Let alone taking a point.
Well, Jimbo says here.
Go on then. We'll say we haven't. Is this true? I need to fact check this. We haven't won in London since the Rafinha knew. Well, there you go. What's that? 4 years ago.
We haven't won in the Premier League, Aaron, in London for 9 games. That's 10 games with the Brentford one on Sunday. So we are winless in London in the Premier League for 10 games. Rafinha was that Brentford game was obviously the last time we won there. Rafinha thanking God for it and walking the whole pitch was fantastic. Realist 369, I know, was formerly Pele, wasn't it? Pele 10 with Yoda. I've forgotten about that bet, but no, I don't think so. I think Farke will go forthwith, and he will be gone by. Again, this scenario
I genuinely don't believe how you can slate Daniel Farke here, George, because ultimately he's turned it round. I think that point against Brentford is a fantastic point. Bearing in mind as well, we conceded a really poor goal from Jordan Henderson. Let's just dust over that. A sweet cross from Willian Onto to Dominic Calvert and a fantastic header as well to get that over there. But if I quote from Sunday, we will get relegated playing like such dreadful goal we conceded. This is George Brook, by the way. Goal we conceded was a laugh. Lead head Beal playing the ball onside. Why not get the memo? Slow. We dropped 2 points. They were there for the taking. No progression, and dare I say, Brentford are SHIT. And then here we go. Here's the quote which you always say. 2 words. Farke out. I don't know why. It's ridiculous, George. I think given, and this is what you said at the 7 o'clock on a Sunday to the LS11 group, which is still active, by the way. It's just, you can't argue with what Leeds did there because they got a point. Every one of us, you would have. I know I was on the train this time, last week coming back from London, but a point was absolutely brilliant, and we all wanted a point, at least a point from that one. So we can't complain, can we, George? You don't need to complain too much. You got what you wanted, and that was a point.
No, I mean, I wanted 3 points.
Yeah, Aaron, but you predicted the point. You got it. You got to be happy with it.
Look, I mean, obviously I'm very reactive at the end of the games that we don't win, and I do believe that Brentford were there for the taking. They are shite. And if we'd have been a little bit braver on the ball and a bit more quicker, move the ball quicker, and he'd have made the subs a little bit quicker, we'd have won that game.
Listen, he made the subs, before Brentford scored. They were lined up ready to come on. We can take away that. And it's like what, Realist says there. Away point is a good result. And he says, maybe you'll become a Buddhist monk when we stay up, George. I would actually pay to see that.
I just don't think we're going to stay up, fella. I don't know where Leeds United stay up playing and perform. I accept we've had a really good upturn in performances, in results, in whatnot. But I just don't know how far this can really take them. And I do, I always look back at Jesse Marsh and think, have the board done the similar here, where ultimately he didn't get sacked till February, and we got that Liverpool result.
There's a World Cup in the middle of all that, George. You got to remember there was a bloody World Cup.
Yeah, okay,
in the middle of all that. And that through that season. I'm not blaming the World Cup for it, but
so it was very strange. It was a very strange season.
Just want to touch what Clive said here. For the second-hand Man City game up to the present day, Farke has turned things around. Do people in the comments agree with this? Please get in the comments, or if you're listening on the pod, you can put it in the comments there as well. Do people agree with this? I think Farke has turned around. Listen, I'm eating my words here. I wanted him gone like you, George. I said this was him gone, and then he's somehow the Manchester City game, second half onwards, he turned it around, and he needs credit. That 3-5-2 really, really works for him. And do you know what? he needs credit, George, where credit is due. Given those 3 fixtures of Chelsea, Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool, completely turned it around, and he got points from those when we were banking on zero in all 3 of those, and he returned 4 point against Brentford as well. Well earned point for me. I can't complain. We've got a 3-point cushion over 18th place now. West Ham United play City at the weekend. Thank God they do, and I hope that they get an absolute spanking. They need an absolute spanking to West Ham. City needs to turn them over 5-6-0 at the Etihad this weekend, and hopefully, fingers crossed, these can get a point against Palace. But Palace have the best away record in the league so far this season, so that's going to be a really tough game. But you've got, going back to my original point, George, you've got to give Farke credit where credit is due, man. I want to hear you say it.
I don't think you can. Yeah, look. Yeah, there is credit for Farke. Of course, there is.
Right,
he changed it round.
What's right? Let's think of the positives. Let's be positive about what's been really positive. What's really impressed you then over the last couple of games with Farke?
It's the way that the team seem a little bit more aggressive. Is the main point for me, because we're not tight at the back. We've let goals in. You've got to say, against Chelsea, Liverpool 3, Chelsea there was 1, Man City there was 3 as well. So defensively, although we looked solid on Sunday, but they're, like I said, they're shit. So they were not really giving much in terms of attacking prowess. It was quite simple. The big boys in the back head the ball back out the penalty box. That was it. But I think from my point of view, the way that they've changed it is like they're more aggressive, and they seem to want to win the games more, win the ball back quickly. And the fact that I really do like the formation, but we could see this. Everybody could see this well before he did. And it took, like Clive said, his job was on the line before that Man City game, and it took him at half time to say, actually, we need to change this. It's taken that for him to change it.
But it's happened. We can't say, his job was online, because he's changed it around and he's found this 3-5-2. But if you look at, for me, why I think, I'm a bit more positive about the situation. I look at something like Ethan Ampadu now, in the middle of that park, fantastic. He's coming into his own. He's the Ethan Ampadu which we know and love as Leeds fans. In that middle there, pinging it around, getting into people's faces and making things difficult for the opposition as well. The goal, kind of an assist really to Nonto, wasn't it? That hard work, that ethic there is brilliant from him, and I think he needs credit. You look at Rodon and Strout. Strout, for me, if I'm being very critical, he made some slack passes, but I think that, Rodon's guilty for that as well. But this is why he isn't a £70 million centre-back in the Premier League. Biol as well, I think, you look at that back 3, they're solid and they're big units. You look at Brentford, they had Collins and Van der Berg, I think, at the back, and they're just big beasts at the back. It was really difficult for Leeds to break them down. As it was, we were quite difficult for Brentford to break down. I know they got a little bit lucky with Henderson on there, but that's that Premier League quality which we talk about, where you just need that little bit of spark.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was quality. I think it was lucky, really.
It went into the back, and that little bit of X factor kind of magic there with it going in is that quality. John Henderson's quality proven Premier League player.
It wasn't a quality goal, was it, mate? It was really scrappy.
It was, but it got over the line, and that little bit of quality just is what you need, in my argument.
Yeah, I mean, they were, like I said, it was a poor game of football. If you were not a fan of either side, you would have switched that off and said, I'm not going to bother with that. But we had to sit through it, and I thought first half we did struggle to break them down. Second half, we had them in the palm of our hands. If you would move the ball quicker and be a bit more creative, we would have got that first goal and won the game.
But it's very, very easy saying that. But when you, I've actually watched the game back. Brentford made it very, very difficult to try and do that. They were in your faces. They were there. They were, the physicality from them was was as good as ours, if I'm being honest. But you look at Goodmanson, you look at Bogle, those right, the wing backs there really help Leeds. Goodmanson for me, I'm going to say this. I said this to Jerry the other day. Standout player for me. He's player of the season for me. Is Gabby Goodmanson. He's a defensive. I know he was a bit unlucky with the goal at Fulham a couple of. Back in the start of the season, but his physicality, his athleticism, his attacking and defending is just brilliant. And what a player, what a steal. How much we pay for him? 10 million quid or something like that. What a steal we've got for him. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, he needs a mention as well. Georgie, you've got to be happy with him, haven't you? Farkas has turned him into a potential England international again. Come on, give him some credit.
I mean, the point is, Aaron, he's
got them cooking.
No, he's got them playing as they should be doing, not cooking. I wouldn't say.
I am going to get it out. You got to give Fark some credit.
No, I already have. I should give
Say it again. I want to capture this.
Oh, come on. Manchester City, at Manchester City, fair enough, got them in there and said, look, we need to swap it around because I'm getting fucking sacked if we're going to get beat here. We need to change it around and do something. That was the only reason why I changed it. So then, obviously, then the momentum builds. It's almost like we've won the game. People are creaming in their underwear because we got a 3-2 defeat at Manchester City. And then
we were expecting a 7-8-9-0.
And then you go back to Ellen Road, big game atmosphere. It's what I was saying here last week. I was worried that Leeds wouldn't be able to get built up and boost themselves up for this away game at Brentford. And clearly they were at it, but against a lower opposition that were showing very little signs of life. They still couldn't activate that little bit more quality that provides us with a win, because they were there for the taking. And a point is fine, Aaron. Let's be honest. A point in London, a point there. They've got a good home record. It's fine. But at what stage do you jump up to the next level of quality and say, actually, that's disappointing. We should have won that game, because we should have won the game.
Yeah.
And DCL, fantastic, mate. Absolutely brilliant. 4 goals in 4. Talking about England is ridiculous, but 4 in 4. He's effective. He's shown his worth. Willie Nonso with a pinpoint cross. It was brilliant to watch. For me, I was watching that game thinking, we've done here. We've finished.
Well, I'll just say this here. Goals scored by Premier League strikers signed in the summer with LAFC legacy for this one. Thank you. Calvert-Lewin 5, Gyökeres 4, Joe Pedro 4, Sesko 4, and the banker of 170 million quid or whatever Liverpool paid Newcastle, Isak, 1 goal return. And Sky was showing all the stats. Fark's got Dominic Calvert-Lewin cooking all of a sudden, and that's only good for Leeds. And you've got to give the manager credit, George, because he's turned a player who was injury prone, out of favour at Everton. He's turned it around here. You've got to give him. I know it's only the middle of December. Sorry, you've got to give him a little bit of credit. Come on, I want to hear this.
Credit to Daniel Farke, because he's changed it up when it needed to be changed. Although it needed to be changed actually way time ago, but he's changed it up because he had to. He stumbled upon it. Like Clive says, DCL and Nemecha, it's a problem for obviously Nemecha's injured now, but DCL and Nemecha are very difficult players to deal with because they're so combative. It's a throwback to the old school of let's throw it in the box and see if he can get his head on it kind of thing, because they're both big lads, aren't they? And Dom's doing well. He's the goals are scrappy and whatnot, aren't they, a little bit, but they all count. And that one on Sunday was a particular kind of, he rose well, he put it in, the keeper had no chance, and you've got to praise him and say well done to him. If you can keep going and getting a few more goals in, then England becomes a possibility, because who else is scoring goals in the England shirt in that position, in a Premier League season. So hopefully he continues. We've got Palace on Saturday, which I don't really expect much from, but you don't know. It's an Ellen Road game again. The home crowd's going to be bouncing. It's an 8:00 kickoff, which is very strange for a Saturday night. So it's a bit of a special novelty evening. And, the one before Christmas as well, which everybody be tanked up, won't they? I'm sure of it. And so, it speaks to a raucous atmosphere in Ellen Road. And whether Crystal Palace, who we have actually got a really good record against at Ellen Road as well, bar the last one where we got smashed 5-1. But if you look past that one, I think Leeds are unbeaten in like 5 or 6 games against Crystal Palace on that particular pitch. So, we've got a good form to look back on. We're in a good way. 3 unbeaten is probably the best return of the season so far, isn't it? And even though 2 have been drawn, you've got to be positive. And look, if we go and win against Crystal Palace on Saturday night, Aaron, I will get away with I will give Farke some peace. But I just think that I just see it as a bit of a false dawn, if you like, and what we had with Jesse Marsh. I know you said about the World Cup, rightly so, but are they going to rue these 2 games? Because these 2 games, I'm talking about Chelsea and Liverpool, seem to me like the 2 games that Marsh had, Liverpool and Bournemouth, where we won back-to-back games, and then he didn't get sacked till February, and we were on an atrocious run.
That was because you had a World Cup tournament bang in the middle of
course.
So you couldn't measure, the success, the longevity of it, because it was that you had a big chunk of time when Marsh actually couldn't do anything on the training pitch. He couldn't do anything because the players were playing in the World Cup.
The point was, Aaron,
I understand where you're coming from, but you can't, what should have happened is that the Leeds board at that time should have pulled the trigger earlier.
That's what I'm saying.
But they banked on him turning it round, and it didn't happen.
And this is what I feel now. I'm just saying it. This is what will happen with Daniel Farke. Everybody will be going, "Oh, great, 4 points against Chelsea and then Liverpool, great." But we all know if we'd have lost them games, he's gone, and that might be the best for the club itself.
God,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can't listen. You are entitled to your own opinion. I completely, this is a free for you to air your own views. You're not going to say, whatever. But ultimately, George, when you look at what he's done, he's turned it around. But you can see the level of performance is there. You can see, the players are fighting for him, and you've got that. I've got that fight in them. And ultimately, 17th is the goal this season. It doesn't matter. Leeds are not going anywhere near that top half of the Premier League. They're not even anywhere near the bottom half. They're nowhere near it. 17th was the task which Daniel Farke needed to get this season. As things stand right now, they've got a 3-point cushion over West Ham United. They've got some favourable fixtures coming up, but as do Leeds. We've got an opportunity now, I feel, for the first time in a long time this season, to really start to pull away from the bottom 3. And I think that is where the proof is in the Christmas pudding, George. Right. If he could do that, I'm not expecting, 3 points against Palace. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But looking at Sunderland away, I'm expecting Leeds to pick up points there. I'm looking at Manchester United. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere for that one. But after that, into the new year, we've got some favourable fixtures, George. You've got Liverpool out of the way, Newcastle away. Newcastle are dreadful. Fulham, Everton, Forest, all these, Sunderland again back in beginning of March. You've got an opportunity to put points on the board.
Yeah, of course you do. And hopefully he does.
Yeah.
And hopefully he does. But I just think that maybe it's a conversation that they might rue. That they might rue not making the decision. Because for me, even though we lost at City narrowly and expected a hammering, and it looked like it would be at 2-0, I'd have still sacked him at the end of that. And
it was hard. They were really unfortunate to come away with a point. Let's be fair. They deserved the point from that one.
Did.
But you look back on games this season where they deserve points. You look at Fulham. Particularly, you can go back.
Clive has referenced it here, hasn't he? My only criticism is this season that we've dropped 4 points this season in the 90-plus minutes. Should have drawn against Man City and Fulham, and should have beaten Bournemouth. And but he says he's definitely not lost the dressing room, has he? And that's really good as well.
And that's what you want, because you want that togetherness. You need that togetherness when you're in this relegation scrap, which Leeds are. So I just want to jump into the comments. Let's see who we got in the comments. Let's have a look. Really says the team have shown noticeable improvement the last 3. Credit to team and coaches. Clive says Dominic Calvin and Nemecha make a good strike force. Most teams aren't used to defending against 2 strikers, as most play with just 1. This could help Leeds if we can keep Dominic Calvin and Nemecha fit. Jimbo says he predicts a riot on Saturday because everybody's going to be hammered. I won't be. Good evening to Cynthia. Hello. And let's have a look here. And like what Clive says, that we'll keep asking George this week in, week out when he goes on the old bandwagon of sacking Fark. He doesn't know who he wants. He doesn't have a clue. Brendan Rodgers isn't going to be the new Leeds United.
Oh, stop Brendan Rodgers.
He's bugging off to the Middle East.
Hey, did you all see that today? No, I sent him. Steve Evans lost a bit of weight, hasn't he, down there? And he's just been appointed manager of Bristol Rovers, and he's lost a bit of weight. God, but I don't know. I don't know what's happened there, but I think that who knows who knows. Look, Clive, if we sack Fark. Look, we will eventually sack Fark, and I think Fark will be gone at some stage between now and the end of the season. And the ultimate thing is, again, Aaron, is all right. It's all well and good finishing 17th, but where's the progression then? And who's going to take the
progression in the Premier League, George? Listen. Sunderland, remarkable season. They're flying high, and you know what? Give them credit where credit is due. They've done phenomenal to be where they are so far this season. Sunderland, every one of us, when we got promoted, those 3 which came up, Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland, every one of those managers, Parker, Fark, Labrie, every one of their chairmen will have said, finish 17th. That is your goal this season. Not one of them will have said, oh, you should be finishing in the top 10, challenging for Europe, because that's complete bollocks. Their goal, every 3 of those promoted teams was to finish 17th.
Yeah, of course.
Every one of them. So the progression there is finishing 17th, getting that first season under your belt, establishing yourself as a Premier League team is so important. That's the progression. That's the goal. You've got to do that. You can't, I'm not being funny or rude, George, but you can't expect Leeds to be challenging in the middle of the table and pushing for Europa Conference League positions or anything like that, because it's impossible. Sunderland won't finish in the top 7 this season. They won't.
Sunderland will probably.
They won't. I can tell you that now. They won't finish.
Sunderland will probably finish in the top half. And
I hope they do. I hope they finish. In the top half.
That can be done. Reduce Leeds is fair enough. Yeah. Clive says he reckons Nancy is going to be sacked soon by Celtic. He's only just come in, man, hasn't he? He's only just come in. And I don't think...
If you listen to Jerry, he's not happy with him. He wants him sacked.
How many games has he played? Can't have played many.
3.
Well, there you go. I don't think they've got Salino as the chairman. Maybe they have. But look, I don't know. And I think that, again, it's the same thing with the Championship. Fark. Good job. Got us out of the Championship. You should have done that anyway. And then you got us promoted. Right, where do you go from here? If we're finishing 17th this season, okay, fair enough. Like you said, Aaron, first year back in the Premier League, 17th is acceptable. But I think it's defeatist to almost corner yourself into finishing 17th.
Listen, every one of us now, George, I think if everybody in the comments will back me up here, I hope they do, because Leeds United fans who are listening right now, live on YouTube, get in the comments and say you would be happy with 17th, just to prove this bearded peacock wrong. 17th is fine. Everyone in the comments, and if you disagree, but 17th is a respectable finish position for the first season back in the Premier League. I don't care what you think, George. I think you're being a bit too optimistic, if I'm being honest.
No, I think there's optimism. Yeah, then it's
17th
difficult.
is fine. That's the goal.
Well, yeah, I'm saying 17th is fine. Absolutely fine. We finish 17th, great, we stay up. But where's the progression from there? Do we continue to keep finishing 17th? This is what I mean.
Because if you look at when Brighton got promoted, all those years ago, they were constantly in and around that bottom three. They finished 15th, 16th, 14th, or whatever. I think they finished 16th in their first season. Somebody will probably quote me in the comments when they got promoted into the Premier. If you're ultimately, you look at Forest, and then they spent big and went for it last season, and they had their points deductions and all that sort of stuff, didn't they? You look at Villa. They established themselves. You look at some of those teams, Bournemouth as an example. They've established themselves. Brentford to an extent, that's where you've got to get that, you base yourself on what's gone on. And if you stay up, like what Clive says, you'll get another 100 million just for TV rights, and we'll be able to develop the squad. And that will be my final point to make, because you get to invest in better players, invest in quality Premier League players, because if you stay in the Premier League for 2 years or whatever, you can say, we're an established Premier League side, come and play for us. We've got the ground development, we've got we can argue the coach, he probably won't be there, but you've got the raucous crowd, you've got the ground, you've got a club which is growing, and that for me is your progression off the pitch rather than on it as well.
Yeah, of course, and all well and good progressing on the off the field, which is great, and
that's what Leeds have to do. George,
I know that they're doing that.
If they want to get into the next level, which is the top 7, you've got to get that groundwork done. You've got to get a good, solid squad who will not be flirting relegation.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying, I'm talking about the coach, the manager. He's not going to get you anywhere near upwards of 17th or 16th. It's not going to happen.
What I'm trying to say is that's fine for the first couple of seasons.
First for the year, and then you've got to start progressing, surely, because at what stage do you look at, like you said, look at Brighton. First few years, fine, but they were higher than 17th. I think they came 17th the first year, but then they were always progressing on that.
Yeah, so that but you can't judge that until it happens. Leeds have got to stay in the league first and then build. And it's all right saying get rid of the manager. You look at West Ham. They brought Nuno in. He had a bit of a he's had a bit of a tough start for me as Nuno. He hasn't got them cooking yet. I think he will eventually, but it's taking time. You look at what Ange did at Forest. He completely balls it up. It could go the other way. That's all I'm saying. And if you do change the manager, first of all, you've got to get the right one in. And you've got to make sure it's the right fit. And if it doesn't, it can go pear-shaped. Look at and I think this is where Leeds have taken stock of what happened last time. 3 managers in the Premier League season ultimately led to them finishing 19th or whatever it was, and it didn't work.
No, it didn't work at all. But I think, and fair enough, it's been a reaction. And I think the 3 games that I followed that Man City game and off the back of the poor run it's fine. 5 points is fine. But, what I'm looking at the long-term situation for Leeds United. I just, I always think Daniel Farke was definitely a short-term appointment. And I think that it's just a sacking waiting to happen.
But I don't think they'd make a change mid-season now, Leeds, because we're nearly halfway through the season.
If they cut adrift, what can they do? But we're always going to be competitive, because I think that the team that we do have is all right to work with, to compete against Premier League quality sides. So I think we're always going to be in games, but I just want to see a bit more attentiveness and a little bit more control. If you're in control of a game, go and win it. He was quite happy on Sunday to sit there after we scored. I couldn't see us equalising personally, but when he did, you could see him going, yeah, that's fine, actually. That's all right.
It was fine.
Instead of going, actually, crikey, we can go and win this game now and really put the captain on the pitch.
I think if they'd have scored the goal, if Leeds, because what was when did 82 minutes or something played, something like that. I think time just kind of ran out for Leeds, if I'm being honest.
Well, it was 82nd minute, wasn't it? I think they had 5 minutes added on time, Aaron. That gives them, that gives them what, 13 minutes to score a goal. I think if you're a bit more proactive, we could have got the winner. And I think if we're proactive before then, I just think they were there for taking, really. And I think at what point did you start to say, yeah, great, a point is fine. If you can't win, don't lose. Yeah. But then when you start,
that's what you need when you're staying in the Premier League, though. Let's be honest.
You've got to be that bit braver. What could have happened? We could have won that game. We'd have 2 more points on the board. And
I completely agree with what you're saying, but flip it around. Be a bit more braver, be a bit more aggressive. But then you're opening yourself up a little bit more when you do.
You do.
So you can throw it away potentially as well. It's a difficult balance. When you're never ever going to please everybody. Clearly, George, you want Leeds to be challenging for the top 4 in the title. Whereas you want them to be bang, bang, bang.
I just want them to be more competitive on a regular basis.
Have you seen a more competitive edge over the last couple of games?
Yeah, but can they maintain it? Can they maintain it? Because the next few games are difficult again. Crystal Palace are flying. The Teta and all the rest.
In the league, Palace.
Brilliant side. The manager
from 8 games.
His name? Oliver, what's his name? He's doing a really good job. Yeah. And and then it's going to be a difficult game on Saturday night. And then you've got Sunderland, Liverpool. Newcastle.
That's going to be a really tough game, that one.
So you look at that again and you're thinking, crikey, okay, Crystal Palace, can we get anything out of that? The one you're looking at is Sunderland now. Sunderland away, it's a tricky game at the Stadium of Light. And then you've got, you've the other 3, you've got Liverpool, Newcastle and Man United, which are traditionally going to be harder games. And so you think, are we going to come away from these next 2 with Crystal Palace and Sunderland? And if we come away with no points, then you come away with no point. You're thinking no points again in the next 3. It looks perilous.
But we don't know that. We can only judge that if that happens. I think Leeds will get some points over there. And traditionally, Leeds don't do well over Christmas. But hopefully, with the festivities,
How many? And Clive, to answer your question, no. I always obviously want Leeds to win games of football, but I put it this way. On that Man City game, and we were 2-0 down, I was like, I'm okay to get beaten here if it means he gets sacked. Put it that way. When you get to the end of the tether, and you agreed with me, Aaron, at the point.
I did. I did. I thought this.
You felt, and that's why I say it's like a second kind of. It's like a second wind. Toddlers. He's tired. He's tired. You'll know. Of course, you're tired. But but you're not going to sleep. You're not going to sleep just now. But you're tired. And then suddenly, being up for a while, they seem to have a lot of energy again. They're going to sleep. No. And then they wake up and say, "Hey, I'm really wide awake now," because they're overtired and they're not. You know what I mean? But it looks as though they've got energy again. Now, Leeds United, like an overtired toddler, have got a bit more energy with those 2 games. But it does 3 games. But it doesn't mean that ultimately they're on the way to being fully recovered through Daniel Farke. I think it's a reaction just a reaction of like it's a reaction, but can they sustain the reaction? Bit of a false sense of security for me. I feel like this whole thing is, and that's why I hark back to Jesse Marsh. When October, November of that year, we won the 2 games, and everybody was like, "Yes, Marsh is the man for Leeds." And then you go to the World Cup, and then it goes down and down and down. And then he gets sacked, and it's February, and we're in a mess. I just don't want the same thing to happen this time round.
Well, I don't think it will, because you've got players there who are fighting for the manager. They believe it. You've got informed strikers now, George. You look at that. You've got individual players who are raising their bars with Ampadu and Rodon and Goodmanson, Bogle, Tanaka. You've got these. You look at that team now. You see, yeah, they're improving. They're raising their bar. It's more positive when you compare it to Jesse Marsh, because you looked at that and you think, God, where the hell is this going? It was just dreadful. You had Bamford, who was constantly injured, so you didn't have an out-and-out striker. You had Dan James down in bloody Fulham. He lost the plot there, and you were banking on Somerville and Nonto, these young players, to really deliver for you, but they were just inexperienced at the time. So I do think you're giving Farke a little bit of injustice here, because when you compare him to Marsh and you compare the two teams, you had bloody Weston bloody McKennie, for God's sake, in the middle of the park.
It was a mess. It was
the recruitment was bad. You had bloody, what's his name, Rocker, in there as well. It was just dreadful. You just had Brendan Aronson again was poor.
Man for man, I reckon that team's better than the one we have now. But
no, you can't judge that, because the majority of the players were younger. You had Rutter, who just threw it. We had Georgie Rutter, didn't we? And we thought, right, well, he's going to solve everything, and we didn't see him at all.
Yeah, that was such a poor for that time.
The recruitment was the issue there, and it still is at this point.
It still is. The recruitment was poor. I mean, Realist 369. He says, "I'll take one win, 3 draws, and 2 losses from the next 6 points and 6." From the next 6. That's all right, isn't it? I suppose. And then he says, stay competitive and moral decent, sign some in January and keep improving. And I think we will.
Let's answer this thing, Josh, because we need to move on, because we've got the features to do. But who's the better manager, Farke or Marsh? Only one word. One of those.
Jesse Marsh.
Wow, it's Tanaka time. Wow.
Hello to Tom, and Tom says all day long.
All day long. I completely agree. Jesus Christ.
I tell you what, though, Aaron, Marsh would have been absolutely, there would be pitchforks at fucking midnight all day long until he got sacked. If it was a similar kind of thing with Farke, and at points there, he'd have been, chased out of Leeds just because of
George. You've clearly been smoking something this evening, because Realist says George has been on the Spice Smash was a gobshite. Let's get that.
Marsh is managed at the World Cup. I know that's
come
on, he's a better manager than. Put it in a poll. I don't know. Put it in a poll. Who's better, Jesse Marsh or Daniel Farke?
Well, you're looking at the comments, and I think the proof is in the Christmas pudding. Anyway,
Christmas pudding. Marsh and Mash, yes. I don't know. Tom, how's it going? All right.
Right, listen, it's Tanaka time, George. What's caught your eye this week? Let's forget Jesse Marsh now.
I mean, it's a real, not to bring the tone down so much, Aaron, but, to bring the tone down to a serious level.
Yeah.
And, what caught my eye today, it's nothing Leeds related. It's usually Leeds related that I do, but it's not. It's football related, but it's not Leeds United related. And I must say, rest in peace to the young lad McLeod, who died in the accident for Macclesfield last night on his way back from the football. He played in the game. And then on the way home, he I don't know what happened, but he lost his life. So I just want to bring attention to that, Aaron, and send condolences to his family and everybody at Macclesfield. I know he was a Wolves Academy product. His brother's at Wolves, isn't he? And I know that that they're doing all the best for his brother. So real sad news when I heard about that. It's not a nice situation. He was only 21, so so it has to be said. And I would just bring my attention, to a very short one, Aaron, to give my condolences to his family and everybody, from at Macclesfield themselves and everything. So.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm just going to give a shout out to Joe. Just Joe. A lot of respect for what he's done over the last couple of days. We love him. We think he's a great lad, and we just want to wish him all the very best. And we're not going to say any more on that, but he's a good lad.
Yes, I mean, well, just a point as a whole point, Aaron, is mental health, obviously, death, and all the rest of it. But a lot of the guys are watching us, are blokes maybe listening.
Yeah.
But just reach out, because he did, and obviously it was lengthy and whatnot. Now he's showing, he's documenting his recovery, and that's fair enough. Well played to him. He came out and he
good lad for him to do it, George, because it takes balls to do that.
It was a brave thing to do, and well done to him for doing that. And and if he wants to reach out, whatever he wants to do, and to give support, everything else. But just a word on the mental health of people, because it's Christmas as well. People generally don't, it feels there's a lot of pressure on at Christmas, and the times come quite. If you're in a negative space, it's very difficult to get out of. If you're by yourself or whatever, even if you're not by yourself and you're suffering with some kind of mental health issue, go and speak to people. There are people available that can, that can help, and all the rest of it. So do help yourself. Reach out to people. And try and help yourself, because even though Christmas does seem to be a happy time, etc., it can be a very lonely and low time if you're experiencing problems and whatnot. So speak out, and then the real sadness of that young lad losing his life last night was not nice to read.
Well said, George. But as I say, I want to mirror that. You speak out if you struggle with anything. All our DMs are always open. You always just have a chat. Right, let's. Oh, well, there you go. Then. From Jesse Marsh to mental health, all that happens here on.
I think Jesse Marsh really tested a lot of Leeds fans' mental health. Actually, didn't he? To be quite honest. And he says, "Here, Clyde, my mental health is fudge. My mental health is fudge. Been out of work for 18 months now, despite applying for hundreds of jobs. I empathise with anyone who's struggling mentally. I'm sorry to hear that, Clive. Very difficult at times to.
You just got to keep going, Clive. You persevere, your resilience, and you know what? You'll get there. Don't you worry about that, buddy. And we're always here for a chat, Clive, as well. And anybody who's listening or watching or whatever, we're always here. Right, George, I've got you a special quiz. Right, quiz time. I've got you a quiz. So can you cover up the comments, please?
If you like.
Cover up the comments.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get your paper and put it across there, please, because you can't cheat on this one. So I've got you a special festive quiz for the trivia quiz this week. 5 questions, all about Leeds United, fact checked with the answers which I've got in front of me around the Christmas period. So all these questions are about Leeds United over Christmas. So get involved in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Get a pen and paper if you're listening on the pod, or if you're in your car or whatever, and you're talking to your mates. Just give it a go.
Keep an eye on the wheel if that's happening.
Right. Are you ready, George?
Yes.
Right. Question 1. What is unique about Leeds United's 3-1 win over Manchester United on the 24th of December 1990?
It was, I think, the only game to be played on Christmas Eve in the history of the Premier League, or something like that.
Say that again.
It was the only Premier League fixture in the Premier League's history to be played on Christmas Eve.
Correct. Well done. It is.
Yeah.
It's the only Premier League game to have ever taken place on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, very strange time to play.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
if you think 2 days later, you.
Thanks to Sky. Right, okay, so who scored the first goal for Leeds in that Christmas Eve 95 fixture from the penalty spot?
Who scored what? Who scored the winner?
Who scored the first goal in that game?
Oh, fuck knows. I don't know. Was it, I don't know, Rod Wallace? Yeboah scored in that game, but I don't know who scored the penalty, no.
But who scored the penalty? You saying? Who are you saying?
Rod Wallace. I don't know.
No. Get in the comments. Yes, Clive, you've got it right. It was Gary McAllister. No, not Brian Dean. Sorry, Tom. Okay, question 3. Which of the following statements is true about Leeds United and Boxing Day fixtures historically? Well, I can tell you now it's bad. Right, so which of these statements are true, George? Okay, these are quite tricky. So, statement A: Leeds have never won on Boxing Day. B: Leeds played their first Boxing Day match in 1921. C: Leeds only started Boxing Day fixtures after 2000. Or D: Leeds have only ever played one Boxing Day match.
Oh, no, it's not D. I say it was C.
Leeds only started playing Boxing Days fixtures after 2000. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to pick that one. I don't know. It's difficult.
No. Sorry. Leeds played their first Boxing Day match in 1921. And do you know what? I'd give you a bonus for who they played.
Oh, fucking
give you a bonus point. Yeah.
Derby.
Right. Derby. Oh, no.
I don't know.
No. Keep going.
Fucking, I don't know. Charlton Athletic.
No, I'll put you out your misery. It was Sheffield Wednesday and the drew 1-1.
There you go.
1921 though.
Was it on a Wednesday?
No, I don't know. I don't have the 1921 calendar in front of me. Right, question 4. Which Leeds Boxing Day result is remembered fondly for a 3-0 away win at St James's Park?
Say that again.
Which Boxing Day result is remembered fondly for a 3-0 away win? I want the year of when this was, please.
Oh,
a
God.
3-0 away win at St James's Park. It was clearly Newcastle United. But
2001, I don't know.
2001. Leeds played Boxing Day in 2001 against Bolton. So, no, it wasn't that one. They did win. They won 3-0. So I'm going to have to give you it wrong. It was Leeds played Newcastle in 1998 and they won 3-0.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And then here's a more recent one. You should get this one, George. In recent festive football 24-25 season on Boxing Day, what was the score when Leeds played Stoke City last season?
Oh, it was 2-0 in the fog.
2-0 in the fog. Yes, you got 2. There you go. 2 out of 5, George. That's not bad for you.
It's quite hard.
Yeah. Tricky questions there. Let us know how you got on in the comments as well. That's the return of the quiz. We haven't done that for a while. Do like the quiz. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It makes you think. It does.
Makes you think.
Somebody asked me further up, where were the watch-alongs? I think it was Realist, wasn't it? 369.
Oh, God. Do you want to watch George?
Why have you changed the name, mate? Why have you changed your name? But I obviously know because it's Yoda, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know really. There's a bunch of reasons really, which are, I suppose, one being, I haven't got the means to it really right now. Where I don't think I could watch it on like a dodgy stream on the laptop because, as you know, Aaron, probably these things are getting clamped down on and not being able to be of views, and so I haven't got that. There's a time aspect of it at the moment, and other aspects. I will try and do them when I can, because I do genuinely enjoy it, and it's fun to do. But I just haven't got the time, I haven't got the facility to do that, and at this moment in time. But never know. As we're going
Jimbo says, I want to watch along for the Derby game because it's on TNT and I don't have that. So there you go, George.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. I mean, potentially that one there. I mean, Derby County. Do post office Wi-Fi not have sticks? Yeah, no, they don't, mate. I've checked. And no, it's just one of them. So I can't really, I'd love to do it. I really did love doing it. It was great fun, and
I think you did one. You did one, didn't you, at the start of the season? I think you only did it for 40 minutes, and then you buggered off because you had enough.
I think sometimes you can't commit to it. You know what I mean? That was the thing. Sometimes you just can't commit to all of the time, and I think it's a long time to be sat there by yourself with like two people watching, not commenting. You know what I mean? So you just. But although you are explain, I do genuinely enjoy, describing the match and all the rest of it. So it's always good fun.
Right, George, we've got a couple of games to fit in here because obviously it is Christmas next week. It's Christmas next week, George, and we will be. You're not listening to me. It's Christmas next week, and we won't be back on until probably the 30th of December-ish time before Leeds are away at Liverpool. So we've got two games which we need to predict here. We've got Palace at home and then Sunderland away on 28th of December. Me and Jerry will be, I'll plug it in now, doing the match reactions after those, so don't worry about that. You'll still get your fix of me, but your fix of Bearded Peacock is also let's have a think about this thing, George. So Palace at home. Start with this one. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
Which one? Sorry, Palace at home.
Palace at home on Saturday evening under the lights. Nice. Right, Saturday night under the lights. I'm missing the Strictly final for this. It better be good.
Oh gosh, is Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank still in it?
No, he got kicked out weeks ago.
What a shame. Who's in the final for that? God damn. I mean,
can you remember Karen Kearney? She's in it.
Not Karen Kearney.
Yeah, she's in it. She's pathetic.
Fucking Christ.
Some YouTuber and somebody else I don't even know.
Oh, no. I mean, Karen Kearney, she can probably dance if she's in the final.
Yeah.
But
anyway, forget Strictly. We're not previewing that.
Only got promoted because of the COVID situation, and that's all stuck with her, for a long time. And not the best comment, but I'm sure. Well, I hope she does well in the final if that's what she wants to do. But Palace
at home under the lights Saturday night. George, give us a prediction.
I don't, I haven't seen the stats with Crystal Palace so much this season.
They've got the best away record in the league.
Best away record. Mateta
top of the
is absolutely unplayable at the moment, and I think, to be honest, like the home crowd, the home effect. Ellen Road is a cauldron, and with the current nice results that we've got, that maybe maybe we can sneak a point. But I don't think so. I think Palace will beat us 2-1.
Mm-hmm. You see going for a Palace win. Okay. I'm going to be a bit more optimistic here, George, on this one. I think Leeds will beat Palace on Saturday. I've got a sneaky feeling it's always special under the lights at Ellen Road, and I do think they will get something from this. I've got a sneaky feeling. So I'm going to go for a Leeds 1-0 squeaky bum win.
I mean, Tom says 2-0. I think if we can win, that would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I mean, Palace it's just a difficult team to navigate. I think it's so, they're so comfortable, in the way that they play, and Mateta at the top of the pitch is just real danger, man. I know they marshalled Thiago really well. I thought on Sunday, but Mateta's a different beast, and I think it's going to be very difficult, but maybe play to our strengths. With the Ellen Road crowd behind us, we could get them potentially.
Yeah, Okay, let's have a look. Why Clive says 2-1 Leeds. Michael, yes, we don't want to mention last week. We're never going to do it again, so don't you worry. We will avoid that. It was George's fault because he was very keen to get on and talk to you all, and he didn't know what to do. So yeah, so don't worry, Michael. We won't be doing that in the future. We have no plans. Tom says 2-0 Leeds. Okay, so 1 win for Leeds, 1 win for Palace. Then the traditional Boxing Day fixture is Sunderland away, George, on the 28th of December. It's a 2:00 kickoff. Bizarrely, when you look at that fixture there, it's 8 days, well, 7 days rest. It's not only 3 games, but
yeah, I mean, it's usually a packed schedule, isn't it, over Christmas? But
it's the new year which kind of gets us.
Yeah, I mean, because we're playing first, and then I think we're playing the 4th against Man United. So
yeah, so go on then, Sunderland away.
Sunderland away. This is a really difficult game because Sunderland have done really, really well, and they'll be up for it after that win against Newcastle. I don't know who they've got over the weekend, but they're really, really looking like
they've got Brighton away, and then it's
really. I think they're really scrapping, aren't they, and getting points. And what a header that was. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it was a great finish on Sunday for them. Obviously he was wearing blue, wasn't he, for Newcastle? My brother was definitely not very happy with that one, I'm sure. But I think Sunderland can be got at. I don't think they're anything. At the end of the day, it's two teams that came up from the Championship last season. I think we can beat Sunderland. I don't see why not. But I think the most likely result, I know again Tom's saying 2-1 Leeds. I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say draw against Sunderland. I think it'd be a tough game.
At least we don't have fucking Melier in the goal. But again, through his legs in the last second.
You just never know. Obviously, it's well documented. Sunderland have got a few of their players off to the African Nations Cup then, because they go after the next round of fixtures. They go before Christmas to join up their respective countries. So hopefully, Leeds can capitalise on that and try and sneak a win. But a point, I think, would be a good point as things stand away at the Stadium of Light.
I think it depends what we do in the Palace game. If we win the Palace game, a point away at Sunderland is all right. If they lose at home to Palace and you draw at Sunderland with the 3 games that follow, I don't think that's good enough, personally.
Yeah. But I think the key thing is you've got to kick on this momentum now, because if you look at West Ham's fixtures, and I know we're going to start looking at West Ham in a bit more detail on this pod, because you've got to start looking down. They've got City away this week, and then they've got a home game against Fulham, and then they're at home to Brighton. So they've got 2 kind of back-to-back home games. And then on the 3rd of January, they have Wolves away. Then it's some tough games. And they've got Forest at home, then they've got Spurs away, then they've got Sunderland. So they've got some really, tricky fixtures, but favourable fixtures, you would think. So we'd have to think about how we get on with those. But as things stand in the EFL Cup, Manchester City are 1-0 up against Brentford in that one, if you're bothered, but I'm not. But there you go. Is Calvin on the bench? No.
Calvin Phillips won't. Well, he'll go somewhere in January, because I think he played at that cup game against Huddersfield. That might be the only one he's played all season.
Well, touch what Michael says here, Leeds. You'll be coming up with the rumours because you've got more sources than Branston Pickle and Heinz, as this man. Leeds have been linked with Raheem Sterling and Vargas, the Swiss international. Come on, Vargas. George, you're the man of the know. And his source is linked with those.
Yeah, Vargas from, where's he playing? Is it Leverkusen?
No idea.
Yeah, maybe. But he's Swiss winger. Rumours coming out over the last couple of days that Leeds like him. There's Jimenez, the Mexican striker from AC Milan, who's been mentioned as well. There's been 1 or 2 that have been mentioned. Obviously, like Michael says and Jimbo said, obviously Sterling's on 300k a week, and I think Sevilla. Sorry, Clive. Yeah, it's Sevilla, isn't it? Yeah, he's in Spain. Yeah. But yeah, Raheem Sterling. It's a bit of a non-starter for me. obviously I think somebody mentioned Raheem over, a few weeks ago, and obviously not playing at all for Chelsea. They played last night in the Carling Cup, and he didn't play, and they were playing League One Cardiff. So, he didn't play in that. I don't know if he's registered at all. Crystal Palace have been said to be rumoured as well, and I think Crystal Palace probably have the more likeliness to grab him, if anybody, because it's, again, I think now he likes the idea perhaps of being in London still, and all the rest of it. I think Crystal Palace is probably quite a decent move for him. He's still good, at that level.
I think it's the wages for Raheem Sterling for me.
Definitely the wages. But if you can get him on loan, I've noticed some people today saying like Brennan Johnson at Spurs, he's potentially being let go of in January. They're wanting to get rid of him. People are asking, what about him on loan? I think there's a few little bits and pieces about loans and whatnot. There's a lad from Barcelona, Bargi, what's his name? Rooney Bargi. The Swiss.
No idea. You could be talking a couple of gobbledygook for me, but I think come January we'll be back with all the rumours and things. What we George, and don't forget we will be doing as well. We might send George live outside Ellen Road again.
Well, you see, but they're also having in for the striker who's playing in Switzerland,
right?
And it is called Ronald Marshall. And I think that's one to look at as well. He's playing. He's playing for Zurich.
Oh, great! What a great player! I'm sure he's going to be fantastic. Ronald Marshall, what a great guy! I hope he signs. Right, that's us for this week. George, have a lovely festive action. Enjoy your Christmas. Thank you to everybody who's watched us live on YouTube. Don't forget to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and come on, we want to get up to 500 or whatever it is. What we need. Come on,
he's not past it. I think he's only 28.
Who?
Raheem Sterling. I think he's only 28, 29.
Listen, it doesn't matter. Give us a like and subscribe.
Maybe.
Give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate if you could help us grow his channel. And George, have a great festive period. Enjoy Christmas, everybody, in the comments. And if you listen on the pod, enjoy it. I'll be back with Jerry with a match reaction after the Palace and Sunderland games. And then George will be back probably moaning about Daniel Farke. Right. Cheers, George. Have a good one.
Come all ye faithful. Have a good one, Aaron, won't you? Happy Christmas to
Do you want to sing us out? Sing us out.
He's 31, is he real? Right, okay.
Sing us out, George. Come on, sing us out.
What do you want me to sing?
Anything, quickly, because it's...
Come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem.